I'm basically doing what my grandfather was doing and my father was doing. My grandfather was a lover of travel. He literally spoke 17 languages, had babies during the partition in India, and that's who he was still traveling across the world. He met with a lot of world leaders, just an incredible human, and shout out to him and shout out to his legacy. And then there my father was, just being a rogue renegade. He left India very young, before he was 30. He went to Nepal. That was one of the places that he stopped. And he had he had a pen pal, which were these two hippies that came from, I think they were traveling all across, South Asia, but landed up in Nepal, where my father took some of his inheritance money after my grandfather died, and he opened up a bar. But he was doing things completely different. He obviously did not want to be a doctor, and he was kind of this entrepreneur. And he definitely then, from Nepal, one of his pen pal, so she sponsored my father to come here to the States. So he literally, because she was from Madison, Wisconsin, shout out to the cheese state, Madison, Wisconsin. And that's how they began their journey. Who knows if it was romantic? My father doesn't say, but I definitely have seen Nancy in some of our family photos when we were really little. So hopefully it was just who knows what it was, but shout out to Nancy wherever she is. Anyways, how incredible is that? Because here I am, I've been to almost 60 countries around the world. And, I think in sharing this, can you have a little bit more of a curious understanding of what your parents have gone through? And it is the only way that we can begin to heal parts of ourselves. Now, other ways generational trauma can show up is, people have done studies on poverty and how even domestic violence has been a huge topic in immigrant families. And many of you know that my last marriage, I had to leave, and it was definitely this sort of trauma that I had experienced. And we have to heal back on when, why, and where. And after I was peeling back the layers of trauma in my own family dynamics, on my mom's side, my grandfather wasn't the nicest guy. I mean, love him. And he passed away when I was probably, I want to say like 10 or 11. But he was very, very strict. He served in World War II. And this is my Filipino side, by the way. And my grandmother was the complete opposite. So when my mom was growing up, basically she had one parent that was ultra strict. And he definitely had one of those where, he would pull out the belt. Shout out if you ever got whooped by a belt before, because that's basically what he would do. And not only that, my grandmother, she had the chinelas. So if you know what that means, I think for Spanish speaking folks, they use the chanclas, and it's definitely like, I know there's TikTok videos made out of this, but basically she would throw it across the room. So much so that when my mom was mad at me when I was growing up, she would definitely throw her chinelas. And so would my grandmother, my great aunt, Mama Chi. And so we think about these humorous things that now we can make fun of in TikTok. But guys, that's generational trauma. That's trauma being passed down, because where did my mom learn it from? Well, her parents. Where did her mom learn it from? Well, probably my Lola. My Lola was my great-grandmother. I got a chance to meet her. My great-grandmother was with us, I want to say, even up until I was like 12 or 13. And I got to see how she was. She was a very stoic woman, and definitely she was a pageant queen. And so who knows what her mother was like? Was she the one also pulling out her belt and disciplining their kids in that way? The reason why I'm bringing this up is we all have different patterns, and I can talk about this because it's somewhat humorous, but it also sheds light into, what was a disciplinary system that your family used? I know that my husband talks about a lot this like Indian thupper, which is like the 5 fingers across your face. I know my bua has done that with me, my dad's sister. And my dad definitely used his 5-finger, thupper, which is a slap across the face. And I didn't get it as bad as like Ajit did, and I'm not going to speak for him, but he definitely talks about and makes fun of the fact that like that's what he remembers when his mom was disciplining him when he would do something wrong, or he would, be naughty when he was really little, and she would, get the tupper out and just one quick slap across the face. Guys, trauma. That is trauma, right? How did she learn that? Well, if you're from the Indian culture or, South Asian subcontinent, Desi culture, a tupper is a big thing. That big slap that your mom gives you across the face when you are talking back, when you're talking out of turn, when you're disrespecting them, when you're disobeying them, all of the things. What was it like, or what has it been like in your culture? I want you to think about it for a second. Were there some things that you probably see or you can now make fun of, but it wasn't so funny when you were growing up? It wasn't so funny when you were growing up, right? So my point here is they learned it from somewhere else. They learned it from the families before them. They learned it from the generations before them. We've learned these things from the generations before us. And not only that, for the first time ever in our life, we get to choose something different. We get to choose something different. See you next time at the Brave Table.